Are live. Welcome everyone to a special Friday Q&A. We normally do this for our supporters on Patreon, but we had a pretty cool opportunity, and so we wanted to do this live to the public. Tommy here, joined by a Lauren Khalil. Looks like she's in some lovely weather, and then of course the newly crowned fittest man on earth, Jeffrey Adler, and the woman behind it all, his coach and fiance, Caroline Lambray. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. How you doing?
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Well, we were just chatting a little bit before, and you guys are kind of recounting the final few moments at the games. Just initial thoughts and feelings as you guys start to come down from what is, I imagine, a crazy week.
I don't know. We've been pretty relaxed. I mean, every time we finish the games, it's like, stress just goes away, and then we always like, we can't wait to get back home after a big week. So we were just happy to get back like in our home with our regular food and start unpacking and just do our stuff. We're gonna try and leave a little bit for a vacation. We're not sure where yet, but for now, like, we're staying chill at home, and it's been pretty good.
Jeff, what are you most sick of eating that you're going to take a nice little break from now?
I don't know. Honestly, like, I'm not super difficult with food. So whatever, like, I don't really care. But there's some things that I really like my breakfast. I love it so much.
He was so cute. Yesterday, he put the eggs in his mouth, and he just like, like, so it was good. Like commercial perfect of just like perfect eggs. He enjoyed it, and his bagel and his coffee, and it was just like a whole moment there during breakfast.
So that feels good to come back to.
Hey man, fittest man on earth doesn't save you from those little moments of just eating the perfect egg. I think that's a common thing that binds us all. Did I hear you guys chatting a second ago that someone asked for your podium shirt?
Yeah, someone did ask for that shirt. I was like, no, I'm not giving that away. Even my leader's jersey, like, I just have, like, I think I got 2 kits, and I'm gonna frame one of it because it's such a special one to have. So I'm gonna keep those. If I do have some in the future, then maybe I'll share them with the crowd. But I'll need a few kits more just to make sure that I have some for myself.
Well, I think it was really cool. And I don't know if this has happened in past years, but some of those kids that were right on the other side of the tunnel, how many autographs do you think you signed of T-shirts, shorts, shoes, whatever it was?
I don't know. I know that I haven't been very kind to the fans during competition because I wasn't stopping much because, like, we have to walk from one area to the other, and I really wanted to go as fast as possible in the ice baths and start to recover after each event. So I was like, sorry guys, but I'm not stopping. Like, I'm going through, but once the competition was done, then it was time to give everybody everything they wanted. So we stayed as long as people were willing to stay, and we signed and took pictures for everyone that stayed as much as possible.
I think it's a shame because, like, it's a shame because he had the media interview, like, they did the podium, and then, like, I actually lost him for a while. They're like, oh, there's this media interview, but a lot of the fans got to get pictures and, like, sign and stuff. So we would have liked to do a little bit more in the Coliseum, but there's other things that were happening, and it was all like a whirlwind, like, right after.
Well, I think Wad Zombie gave us an option to make it a quick and easy interaction with fans. You get some trading cards, maybe some Jeff Adler trading cards, fittest man on earth. Give you guys some signatures. That way you can just start hand out some collectibles. What do you think about that?
Then nobody will ask for your leader's jersey, and you can keep that one.
Pat has one and I don't.
Because Pat's cooler.
No.
Where's my?
I don't know. The tide's
per Canadian.
The tide's starting to turn now. I think you have a certain medal around your neck that maybe Pat would trade for a trading card. So I will say I appreciated your guys'. I think Caroline, I think it was you that posted our post game celebration was like a glass of wine in bed by like 9.
Oh yeah.
That was amazing.
A little bit of honesty and appreciate that, but. We'll start taking some questions in just a second, but kind of walking back a little bit to the start of the weekend. I've had the opportunity to talk to you guys before the games a few times in Madison. And you guys, I'm curious if anything was different about the lead up, how you guys prepared, and kind of what was the setup for what ended up being an amazing weekend.
Yeah, I think I think what we did this summer was a very good recipe. My training has been different in the past year. Like we've been very precise in what we're doing and keeping away of what's too much in terms of training, workouts, or whatever. We've been recovering a lot, and like we've tried to do literally everything that we could to make sure that I was 100% ready for the games. Like we even, like for the taper week, like we figured it out. Like as soon as semis were done, like we backtracked from the games days and figured out like what day are we traveling? What are we going to do? What types of training, and try to focus on having like a very good and efficient taper week to be able to get to the games full on energy and crush every workout as much as I could.
And Caroline, I guess maybe from your perspective, I know you guys have done some, paddleboarding, some things like that, like in the time leading up to. I do remember bumping into you guys near the boat docks one year. Was there any of that this year in terms of maybe just kind of touching things that you maybe not always get the opportunity to in Montreal as the games week leads in?
We did some kayak once.
We did some bike rides because we had the bike from like last year. So not necessarily so much like training, because we do a lot of bike erg and things like that, like inside the gym, but like being comfortable on the bike, which I think like showed in event 1 and in test 1 in ride, of being comfortable and able to like ride and know your lines and all of that. We went kayaking once, but that was just kind of like for fun. Let's get back in the boat just in case, like let's test it out, where there's like no pressure to perform. But there's only so much that you can do, and we weren't getting the event, so I didn't want to put too much omen on like trying to do a lot of stuff outside the gym when we didn't, like, especially the water stuff. Like we've been swimming all year, so like we were fine with that. But trying to guess what the games are going to program, like I try not to play that game close to the games.
Jeff, when it comes to your mindset, I think we've seen the evolution of you as a volunteer back in 2016, and then you were kind of a timid athlete with maybe a bit of self-doubt. But now every time I interview you, you carry yourself with such confidence. And the day before the 5K, you said, I'm going to win that tomorrow. And it's just very straight to the point. And I'm wondering, like, at what point did you become this very confident athlete that you know when you're going to win and you have no doubt about yourself?
I've always said to Caro that I want to be so fit that I don't have to think about anything. And I think because I'm so true to myself, like if I know I'm going to do badly on an event, you'll know. But if I'm going to win it, you'll also know it. And it's not bullshit. Like it's the truth. And in the past year, like my fitness has stepped up so much that I'm very confident in my abilities and I know what I can do. So I think my confidence built up with the years as at the same time as my fitness did.
I will say, was there a point in time where you started to see a noticeable change where the scale maybe tipped a little bit more towards confident versus not confident? Because I'll preface this. If anyone hasn't seen it, go back in 2020, I guess 2019 in Dubai. I got to follow you guys around for an entire weekend. And there was a moment that struck me because you're coming off the Open. I've said this multiple times in the pod. You're coming off a worldwide win in 20.4. It was like, it kind of caught everyone like by, oh, damn, this guy is legit, because it was, in my opinion, one of the harder Open workouts that's ever been programmed. And you go to Dubai to get some live competition experience. And there was a moment before the finale where you're laying on your back and we're in the back of the athlete area. And I wasn't sure whether to film you. I think just the weekend had started to catch up to you. And you had some self-doubt. And I think the honesty and willingness to share that with me, even though I had a camera going, I think is a little bit of what you touched on. And then to see the journey from there to now seems like it's night and day. So that's an incredibly long lead into saying kind of where was the tipping point for you when you started to believe not only can I hang with the best, I think I can podium, I can win. And now this confidence isn't manufactured and it's just who I am.
I think it may have started maybe at last year's games. So I finished 5th, which it's very good, but it's not a podium. And I really do think that I had the fitness to podium last year. It's just execution and some little aches that prevented me in doing well in some of the events. So I think like even I knew that last year I had the potential to do it. And then we built this full year of training, and it went like, it was basically the perfect season. Like I won the Open, and then I won my semi, and then I go to the games, and like I had my eyes on the podium, like at least the podium. Did I really think I could win? I tried to not think about it, but I definitely had my eyes on the podium.
Mm. And Caroline, when did you see that switch? Because I imagine it's a hard thing to kind of to have I guess maybe an honest assessment is probably the wrong way, because, he's not just, an athlete. Like you guys are building a life together with the gym and as life partners. And it's just that just layers on top of it.
I think we've always been very direct and honest. Like he's honest about his performance. Like I'm going to be honest, like when I think he's not going to do well, or if this isn't for him, like, and I think everybody that's been around in the media, like when you come up with a camera, I'm like, how's it? No, this wasn't good. Like we can do better. Like, we're very honest. For Jeff, I think that for me, we kind of had a glimpse of it at Mayhem in 2020 when he podiumed, but then like COVID hit and the sanctional, like everything kind of went away. And so getting to stage 2 at the games was another kind of like little validation, but there is so much turmoil around that time. So I think I was seeing it, and like I was seeing that he could make it to the next step and compete on the big stage. But I would say the podium at Rogue in 2021, I think that was like, because we had finished 13 in 2021, like we didn't have the best performance, the leg sickness, blah, 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 like all these things. But knowing that he could podium at Rogue with almost like the games feel was validating to him. And I think that's when he started to believe that he could outperform like other competitors. And if he put like, we keep chipping at it and we keep putting in the work that we could do that. And so from Rogue last 2 years ago, and then winning Atlas, and then doing a top 5 of the games, like he's the type of athlete that needs to see that he can actually do it. Like he needs to do the thing. He doesn't operate on faith. Like it's not like I have faith in my fitness. Like he needs to feel like he has the fitness. He needs to see that he has the podium and the top 5 finishes and events and things like that. So I think as we accumulated that, I could see that he was gaining more confidence, but it was from his own performance.
And kind of going off of that, speaking to the honesty that you have as a coach, I can only imagine the challenges and difficulties that you might both face as being together as fiancés and also being as a coach and athlete. And how do you go through maybe compartmentalizing certain like feelings or emotions and making it work? Because really the only other relationships that I can think have made it work is Tia and Shane, and then Emily Rolfe and Kyle. But I'm just curious for a peek behind the curtain of what managing 2 separate relationships into one is like.
I guess you don't have to be you don't have to be too emotional about stuff, and like you don't take anything personally. Just there's work to be done, and there's times to be fiance, there's times to be coach and athlete, and there's times to talk business, and don't mix them. And I think that's stuff that we're really good at. It's like if something it doesn't go well on the business side, well, it's on the business side. Let's not make it affect my coaching or my performances or my training. Like we do one thing, if it goes well, fine. And then we do the other thing, and then we do the other thing. And we try to keep it that way as much as possible. I mean, also like, yes, we have a business together, but I'm not super involved. I'm not doing as much because I'm spending more time training and recovering. So she does most of the work, but sometimes there's discussions like because we need to take decisions or whatever. And when it's that time, then we sit down and we take the decision. Like that's how it works.
I think
Caroline, if he does
too at communicating on a level where we get understood. Like sometimes like during the season, like if he's tired or, you know, it hurts. We all do workouts. They're fun, but like they hurt. And sometimes he just needs to vent. And I've recognized that like, he's not attacking me. He's not attacking the programming. He's not attacking the coaching. It's like, he does this like day in, day out, multiple times a day. Like if he just needs to let it out, like that's what he's doing. So recognizing all of those different like communication points that we have, if he's saying something to make the programming better, then I try to not take it personally. Like he's not attacking me. Like we're trying to work together. So if I feel attacked, it's me feeling this way and recognizing my feelings and not trying to be like, well, you're attacking me. Like it's not you, it's me. And then like voicing that to him and just trying to like, sometimes we just need to take a time out and rephrase what we're saying and make sure that we really understand what the message is, because we have the same goal. It's just different approach or different way of seeing things. So just always making sure that the communication is on point and we're understanding each other.
Yeah.
So if Jeff doesn't help with the dishes the night before, do you make his workout even more brutal the next day?
Well, I do the dishes around here, so we're good.
During July, when I did all of the breakfast and all of the dishes, because I was trying, and those are the things that I've learned through the years. Like as we get closer to game spread, like it's him on the floor. It's not me. Like in the end, we can have the best programming and the best preparation and do all of these things. Like I can understand that he's going to feel stressed by doing the thing. Like he gets on the floor and he's the one that has to perform. So that added stress, like I've tried to take as much, like this year, trying to take as much out of everything else that I could do before the games, doing breakfast, doing the dishes, like doing the laundry. Like it's the little things, but it's going to help him have more bandwidth, I guess, to deal with the stress of training and, you know, what he's feeling and what he's going through. So just trying to operate as a team on every level. The games are done. He will be doing the dishes now.
But notice how quickly he jumped into like steak and came like, hey, I do the dishes. Sounds like me when I'm like trying to convince my wife, I actually do some chores around here too. But,
no, he does most of, like in terms of things like that. And that's something I think we're both kind of like water just rolls off our back. Like if he doesn't do it and I don't do it, like, I'll get done tomorrow. And if he does it, like, thank you for doing it. And if I do, like, he'll thank me. But it's just like, we're not picking fight. We're not trying to pick fights. Like we get.
That's good. One last question before we start getting into some of the fan questions they've been posting in the comments. I will say this. I know you mentioned you don't want to mix and you want to compartmentalize it, and sometimes. But is there any maybe like added bells and whistles to the wedding experience now that you won the CrossFit Games? Maybe you're like, hey, you know, if you podium, we might go for the chocolate fountain, or maybe if you win, then it's the champagne fountain or something like that. Is there going to be any extra little something sprinkled on top?
I don't know. We haven't talked about that yet. So.
Okay.
There are absolutely no wedding plans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Not
hey,
as of now.
All right. Well, hey, food for thought. Thought.
Now, Tommy, you've planted the seeds for them.
I apologize for that. But we got some good questions here. The first one's from Danny. He wanted to ask Jeff, describe what went through your head right when you crossed the finish line on the last event and you knew that the job was done.
That was a very weird feeling. And I don't know. It feels very weird. It felt weird in some way. Honestly, like the feeling of winning the CrossFit Games, I had to live it further in the future. So it wasn't on the floor. It was like right now when I reflect on the games, I actually won the CrossFit Games after event 10, but I didn't know then. Like I didn't know what was going to happen. But the last two workouts were just a formality, and there was no battle in it for me on the last two events. And it made it like, well, I just have to complete those to make sure that I have the win at the end. And it felt weird. It definitely felt weird. So yeah, that's why my celebration was like, I didn't know. I was like, I knew I had won, but it was like, that's it. That's what it is. Like, that's how it ends. Like, and it just was weird.
Yeah. I can imagine that. You imagine, like, you know, to go back to other sports analogies, when you like envision yourself winning something as a kid, it's never like, oh, it's a walk away. It's always like last shot or last second or like fight to the finish. And Carolyn, like, how do you reset expectations and approach, you know, accordingly, right? Because after event 10, when we figured out Roman's foot was broken and Jeff was gonna, you know, he just had to keep it on the fairway. Is there a change in mindset? Is there, hey, let's not completely bonk this, or was there any discussions going on between you two about making changes?
I think it was definitely just like, now all we need to do is make sure that you finish healthy. He also injured his foot on event 10. So like the double unders weren't super comfortable. And it's like, well, I don't think you're going to finish last. And if you do, statistically, like we did a little bit of math on the last two events just to make sure of like, if anything were to happen. But then it was just a question of, we just need to complete this and make sure that you're, you know, healthy and you go through it. So yeah, it definitely felt weird. And then even though we had completed it, like I was still waiting for like Castro to announce, like I needed it to be finalized because like we don't know if there's appeals or is there something going on in the background that we don't know about. Like we still needed the confirmation that he had won. So it was a little bit of like a limbo of kind of going through the last two events and him crossing the finish line and making sure that it was actually like real.
Caroline,
people were coming to congratulate me on winning the games before event 11.
Yeah.
And I was like, why would you tell me that? Like, I'm trying to stay focused here because I wanted to put as much effort as I could in the last two workouts. And I honestly tried, but at some level, like it was not the same. Like, and I honestly think I could have pushed a lot harder. And especially on the last workout on event 12. And like people were saying, oh, congratulations, you won the games. Like, no, please don't. Like, there's two workouts to go and I want to do them. I want to finish the thing. And don't say that to me. Like, and it was a few people and that pissed me off a little bit. But, and that's why, like, right now, like reflecting back, it's like, I won the games at event 10 and that's it.
That kind of leads me in the reflection to another question we have from Alexandra, and maybe not necessarily the moment kind of going across the finish line, but is there a moment from the games that you keep replaying in your head overall? Maybe it's a turning point or it's a highlight that you're just stoked on. And this is good for both of you.
Mine is Helena.
And reason just for winning?
Yeah, you know, there's workouts, some workouts that you just have that in the zone feeling where you can do whatever you want. You could go at whatever speed you'd like, and you know you're gonna win, and you know you're gonna win it. I don't want to say easily, but easily. Like it was just comment tu dis ça, genre it was like if I was in another dimension and just like in a like limbo world of whatever. Like it just felt so good. And that moment when I came into the Coliseum for round 3 and I was all by myself is something I'll remember for a very long time.
How many iterations of that one did you guys practice before you got to Madison?
None.
No.
He had done Helen before.
Why would I? Helen is a horrible workout. Like, like, why would I put myself through that? Like it's once at the games and that's it.
We figured that the pull-ups would be bar muscle-ups most likely. So like, yeah, practicing, making sure like he felt comfortable doing 12 and broken. But like they could have done 5 rounds of Helen, right? And keep it kettlebell swings and pull-ups or making it chest to bar. They could have gone in so many different directions. A lot of people were saying like kettlebell snatch, double kettlebell snatch. So we did a little bit of that just to like make sure in terms of like weights, how does it feel? Like how would you break it up? Like things like that. But we didn't test a Helen version. Like we know what his 400 is. We know how long 12 bar muscle ups is going to take, or if they were to put 20 to 25 chest to bar, like we have all that info. So it was just a question, like when they finally announced what the individual version was, it was like, okay, well, let's add these times per movements. Let's see where we're around what time we're going to finish. And for me, like I did a lot of research coming up to the games, like watching old footage of past games and, you know, figuring out that Helen was the sub 7, like they wanted sub 7. So I was like, okay, well, now that we have Helena, can we make it sub 8 once we started seeing the previous heats go in? And I was like, mathematically it was possible to do sub 8 with his capacity. So it was like, hey, can we win this now? Because if he can do it, maybe somebody else can. It was really cool. But knowing that it's a new benchmark workout that the community gets to be involved with, and that he won, like that was definitely like a really good highlight. Like we're all about CrossFit, and that was like a really cool workout to be able to win.
I will say, do you feel like they kept true to the stimulus of Helen with that variation? Because I was talking to some people about, the fact that they didn't make the dumbbells heavier, and they could have, and that the bar muscle-ups did seem appropriate, and that even with the run, like it just seemed like they dialed it up a little bit, but that, Helen can be one on the run, and then just the sheer just stomping the gas in the other areas. And it seemed like you had to go unbroken. You had to run hard to win. Yeah. And I don't know if you felt that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the stimulus is on the run. And I think we kept the run pretty quick, but it's still like, it's still 8 minutes versus sub 7. I think I would have done sub 7 on straight up Helen. And I think because of the dumbbell, because it was 12 and then 21, it gave us time to recover a little bit before the next run. When you do Helen, it's the kettlebell swings is 21, and then you do the 12 pull-ups.
And the grip.
12 pull-ups is not a long time to recover. So you're like always like right on the gas. So it felt a bit different, but I think the stimulus was preserved close enough.
Yeah.
Let's say that.
I think they changed it just enough to make sure that they couldn't stop. Because like you said, like usually it's run, kettlebell swing, pull-ups, but you're going into the pull-ups from the kettlebell swing, your grip, like depending on how heavy it is, unbroken, like you might start feeling, in 2023, ideally 12 pull-ups is fine. Like if you're going Helen unbroken, but that used to be kind of the stimulus too, is you had interference between those two movements. Now by making the bar muscle ups first, you're coming from the run, your grip is fine. And then I don't think dumbbell snatches are as taxing as kettlebell swing. Like I just think they were really trying to find a way to keep people like pressing on the gas. And I think that version achieved that, whether it's exactly comparable to Helen, maybe not, but I think the stimulus was definitely there.
Okay. And so this may be a little bit redundant, but I'm curious if there's any difference here. And this is from Soccer Mom. Jeff, what was your favorite event? And Carolyn, what was the most nerve-wracking as a coach?
My favorite event is, well, I mean, it's hard not to have your favorite event, the ones that you win.
Bike repeater, you did.
Yeah, I'm gonna have this as a 3-way tie.
Okay.
It's the bike ride, the Helena, and the muscle up sandbag.
Oh, okay.
And all for different reasons.
Can I guess?
Yeah, go ahead.
I would say the bike feels like a little bit of redemption after the bike repeater in 2020, where you hit the jets a little too soon, Fast and the Furious style. Obviously Helena winning that in a marquee test, at the games. And honestly, like it just looked so cool when you came into the Coliseum from the outside. And then the muscle up one, because that's when you got to wear the white leaders jersey for the first time.
Yeah. Close enough.
Close? All right.
Close enough. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun because I had the leaders jersey afterwards, but it's my favorite workout. It was my favorite workout before even doing it. And I think the reason is this type of workout, we've done it similarly in other competitions. And I've always like battled it out with Pat. And during that workout, like we were side by side, workout, just going hard. And it was about who is going to be more courageous on round 4 and 5. And it was just fun, like, because like same thing as Helena, like I had total control over what I could do. And also like, I like these types of implements, like with the beams, like the wooden beams, and then you throw the bag over and you hop over. Like it's just like a cool event to do. So
do you ever talk to competitors in lanes next to you, like a little bit of smack talk to get in their head during events?
It's very difficult to do because we're going
You're
hard.
breathing heavy.
We're working hard, and then like if you have plans or whatever, it has to be a workout with a lot of rest, and like it wouldn't work I mean, if you're talking to your competitor on the side, it would be because like you're failing rope climbs both together. Like that would be like maybe, but it'd be sad to watch, honestly. But other than that, and we're kind of pretty far. Like the North Park is like it's pretty big, and then in the Coliseum, you're just like there's so much noise and people and lights, and you're like, I'm a bit like deer in headlights in there. So,
What about on the bike ride?
on the bike ride, we did talk a little bit, but it wasn't like conversation. It was like, go, let's work together. It's like you go in front, like because the front pack, like we did work together for quite a bit.
That was
So
awesome.
it was like it's your turn to go in front. Yona at some point was like, hit the brakes later and keep like he was pushing hard. Like it was a fun event, that one, and I think that was one of my favorite because of that. Like going hard with Yona on a bike workout is something like I don't even know if I'd do that again. Like it hurts so bad. It was fun.
And Caroline, what about the nerves? What were the one you felt the nerves the most?
I think the pig workout, because after the bike, like you could see everybody was very calm. Like it took a lot out of them. I know it's not an implement that he feels comfortable with, and statistically, we all know that when Jeff does not feel comfortable on something, he doesn't perform to his ability, to his fitness level. So I was definitely worried about the pig and the heat. Like it was just kind of like everything. I was like, just kind of finish the workout. And then the weightlifting, just because we didn't have all the information of like how it was going to happen, right? At semis, they had however much time that they had left, and you can do however many lifts, and you're in complete control. And I know he prefers that. So once we found out that it was only going to be like 20-second windows, okay. But then we had like, is it 2 at a time, 3 at a time, one person, like the sandbag event? Maybe we had like we still needed more information. And then like they get corralled and you're getting cold, and he was second to last to lift, so you're adding that 5 minutes of weaving through and getting all the lifts done. So just from an execution standpoint, like I knew his numbers were good enough, like we weren't worried about that, but you can always miss a lift. So it was more of that.
I can imagine that'd be pretty tough.
So it's interesting that you said the pig flip event, because in the press pit, I was standing right behind you, and Jeff, I don't know if you could hear her, but she sounded like her head was going to pop off. Just, Jeff, like screaming. Do you see and hear her during those events, or do you just black out?
No, on that event, after 2 pig flips at the start of the workout, I was already redlining. I could not see or hear anything. Like that workout was brutal. Like it did not go well at all. So no, I couldn't hear anything.
Oh man, that's whew. I imagine that might be in training a little bit more this year if you can get your hands on a pig.
I will do everything that I can to get my hands on one.
Yes, I feel like the fittest man on earth should be able to get his hands on a pig at some point.
It's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
It's
hopefully everybody can get their hands on it, because even in the warm-up area,
we didn't have any.
They didn't have any, and like you're talking to people that are coming from Australia and Europe and everyone. Some people, it's their rookie year. Like, why would you buy a pig?
Yeah.
Like, you're not. So even having it in the warm-up area, once the warm-up area is set up, to have all the individuals to be able to practice with, and then like it's an implement that seems to be coming back. Like, let's make sure everybody has access to it. So we'll see what the games decide to do, or Rogue has plenty of ideas.
Yep.
For something new.
I like that.
I can only imagine.
Make sure everybody has access. There's a couple questions back to back. One, and I think they're kind of tied together. This first one was from our buddy Steven Wexler. Wex. He said, if Brent was able to crack the podium, did you have the Wadapalooza flannels ready to bring out? And then the second one, this one's from Rod Miller. Are we going to see PB&J back at Wadapalooza to defend the title?
We had 2 flannels ready. I don't know if Brent brought his, but I think we kept them tucked away because Brent just missed the podium by a little bit. So we were like,
we needed all 3.
Yeah, we needed all 3 to do it. And then are we going to see PB&J? If I am competing at Wadapalooza, it's the only reason that I would be. So if you see us guys posting about it, and I think the guys will only do teams as well this year, so there might be a chance. But I haven't talked to them yet. we'll wait that we have some off time, and then we'll decide on what we're doing for the season.
I think I speak collectively for everyone when we say we want to see that team run it back, particularly with the cutoff sleeves.
Yeah, we want the costumes and everything brought back.
Oh, man. All right. So this is from Wendy Nielsen. 2 questions for Caroline. When did you officially become Jeff's coach, or did it happen organically? And 2, do you do the nutrition coaching part of his training, or do you outsource that? Merci. Oh, some French too.
So it happened pretty organically. Like we were, just both training. I've always enjoyed programming. I enjoy coaching. So, as we were doing a little bit more on the side, I was like, well, like I'll program the extra stuff that we're doing. And then as, the years went and we're doing the open and seeing the results from the work that we're putting in, I was like, hey, do we want to do more? And every year I was always asking, like, are we still continuing as coach and athlete, or are we going to outsource it or find someone else? Like, Tia's winning 4 or 5 times. Do you want to go with Shane? Like when Matt retired, I was like, well, do you want to have Matt as a coach? Like it was never, I wanted to be able to coach him, and I'm so happy that, we kept this going, but it was always like a decision that we made together. And so he trusted me like throughout the whole process.
I can't remember. Were you guys coach athlete before you? So, okay. No. So you guys were dating.
Well, I mean, technically, yes, because I was coaching at the box where we met, but that's not the foundation of our relationship. Sure. We started dating, and then CrossFit was just something that we both enjoyed and love. And I think this side of CrossFit that I enjoyed, and the coaching and the programming just kind of suited. And I obviously, like, I saw potential early on. And so it was just like, it's not because I saw potential that like we jumped in right away. It was just like, he moves well, his numbers are good. Mm-hmm. Like, let's just keep doing this for fun, and let's see what, a year of consistently training looks like, and then assess. And it was always an assessment, like year after year.
Was
that? Sorry, go ahead, Tommy.
My initial follow-up, you touched on it just a little bit. Was it movement quality? Was the initial tip-off? I think someone else on Instagram maybe asked it. What was it you saw in Jeff initially? Was it just movement quality? Was it some engine? Was it some strength?
Definitely not the engine.
You had a good 5K. Do you not remember when we were dating? Like you went for a 5K run, and we were on the phone, and you hung up, and you called me like 20 minutes later. But like he must have been like 1930. Like it wasn't like a bad
possible.
Yeah, it's a great 5K.
Yeah. So like he definitely moved well. My favorite, like I think I've mentioned this before, but like his burpee is what got me. Like I just thought he had a beautiful burpee. And it's not a movement. It's like, oh, his squat, like he squatted well and he moved well, but there's a little bit of like knowing how to move your body through space, and it's a little bit more dynamic. It was just like, I was like, okay, there's something there. His numbers were definitely good. In terms of just like strength and like raw power and things like that. And like, he's never been bad at cardio. I think he's more known for other things, and just like the way competitions are set up or where he would earn points. Like, it was showcased a little bit more, but he's always done well at the longer events, even like Dubai or other competition. It's just like, well, he also was competing with 2 or 3 year background experience versus people that had 5 and 6. So like, I think relative to what he had, he was always good. And then it's just a question of like making sure everything is improved upon.
That's going to be a meme. Boy, you got a nice burpee on you. I could just see that making the rounds after that.
And in terms of nutrition, when we, as we were getting more and more serious and devoting more and more time, because it takes, time and effort to do all these things. Like I always wanted to prove the CrossFit methodology worked. So we did 3-1 from the get-go, 3 days on, 1 day off. We did zone. That was the first diet or like nutritional protocol that we did, and we still do it. So no, I've definitely asked around and, make sure that I'm staying up to date. And if there's anything, if he felt off or anything like that, like we would definitely explore other options. But so far we haven't had to go further than what CrossFit has, provided in terms of the whole methodology.
Awesome.
Has your email been blowing up since the games of folks asking for you to coach them now?
Probably in the DMs and the request section. I'm not really looking. There's a lot of friends and family like just sending messages, and people that knew us back in 2015 and 16, and so that like I've been spending time there, and it's been like really amazing because some people know Jeff from like way back. But no, maybe. I don't know.
Not checking it quite yet.
I'm not checking that now. Like, I'm sure everybody's like super excited, but sorry, I'm not checking those messages for like at least a month. So
I think you earned it at this point. You meant the zone blocks. It's been a while since I've leaned into zone, but is there any like funky block setup that you have? Do you have like a specific number, or you kind of operate in zone portions?
No, well, I've been doing it for so long that now like I don't have to weigh everything. I just have, I eyeball it a little bit, if you will. But I think I'm around like 27 blocks, 27 protein, 27 carbs, and then
no more carbs, but we'll get back on that in a second.
Yeah, and then probably around 60 fat.
So the fat is definitely tripled.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
We're probably around triple, but again, that is measured very loosely. Yeah. And then same thing as the carbs. There's a lot of maple syrup on everything, including eggs. Like he has maple syrup. Like Pat posted it. It's completely true. He has maple syrup every meal. When we take the plane, we will buy maple syrup at the duty free. Like there's always maple syrup.
Oh, that's amazing.
We're doing zone, but like with time, it's like we were very stringent at the beginning to make sure that we could adjust if we needed to, and now we just kind of like know where we need to be, and we're fine.
For sure. You set the foundation with specificity, and then it gives you a little bit of wiggle room once you have that base.
Yeah.
Do you have a go-to brand for maple syrup?
Oh, that's the big question.
We buy the one at Costco, which is pretty
Costco
good,
food.
but it is not the same
With
in
the
the
tan?
US.
Yeah.
Don't go and buy the one at Costco and say, oh, it tastes like shit. It's not true. The one in Canada is very good, but we do like when we buy some from local.
Yeah, we have a farmer's market. Yeah. Like we'll go there and buy some, and
Love that. As someone who worked at a farmer's market and grew up working on a farm, appreciate that. Support your local farmers. Corbin asked, and I feel like I could ask this across the board to all the athletes. Did you miss not having a swim?
I would have liked having a swim vent because I think my swimming is pretty good. It was pretty good. Like we did a lot of swimming. I took swimming lessons. I have a swimming coach here in Montreal, and we've gained a lot of terrain on swimming. So I would have liked to have one, but
as long as
it's not, if it was going to be at the lake,
fair.
I honestly don't know if there was going to be a bunch of athletes that would have just not do it. I think.
Really? Oh, wow.
I would be ready to say, no, I'm not going in. Dude, 2021 cost me so much. Like, I'm not doing that again.
There's so many people that got
I don't blame you.
Hear it afterwards in, documentaries, podcasts, things like that. Like it always happens. And it's now you're not testing fitness. Like it's not an injury, but like you can't perform to the level that you should be able to perform because you're sick. So I don't think it's fair for the athletes that, are working year round for that to underperform because they got sick.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that makes total sense. And that would have been, just even thinking about the possibility, that would have been a wild storyline to the games. If all of a sudden they're just like, yep.
Well, there's no more lakes in Madison in the future, so we're good.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's a good point.
But I think with the PFAA and like where the sport is going and with the athletes, I think that, they're getting a little bit more weight in the scale. And I think that if they would have attempted to swim in the lake, I think something potentially could have happened. Now, it depends if it's first day, last day, before cuts, after cuts, like all these things. There's a lot that can go into the decision making that the athletes would have had to face in that moment. But I think that, everybody was ready for a pool swim.
Yeah.
But anything on and that's the thing, like even kayaking or even doing something, I was like, eventually going to row, like London had done it a year. I'm like, I want people to be in a rowboat. Like we row on the concept too all the time. Like that'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah. But so it's just like, there's a lot more ways of testing fitness. And I think the games are getting better and better at testing fitness the way it should be tested and not needing like 15 events, or you need to go in the pool to test fitness, recovery, like all these different 10 general physical skills and all of that. So I think it would have been cool, but not necessary.
Yeah, this kind of touches on it, I guess, the lake as well, but just overall conditions. Sean and I were talking about this. I think we were talking about it with Lauren too. It felt hotter on a couple of days, like muggier and sweatier. I don't know if you felt that out on the competition floor or if that was actually a reality.
The only event that I felt really hot was the pig event. And
it was later in the day.
It was later in the day. It was the only one at North Park that was in the beginning of the afternoon. And I think I'm also like, I'm not the one that you should ask because I was so busted from the bike that everything felt like 1,000 times harder. Like I did sets of 10 on the wall balls. Like that's how hard it was. Like I was dying out there. It was hot. It was sunny. I was tired. Like that was such a hard event. But other than that, I didn't feel the heat that much.
It's really in North Park. I can think like the bike, the run, like they're mostly outside and there's more wind. Like that North Park just heats up. And that's another thing too.
The other events that we did in North Park were like in the morning.
Yeah.
So it was fun.
Yeah. Huh. It's interesting.
It was just us that were sweaty on the sidelines.
Well, I just like kind of got in my own head there. I was thinking like, what a crazy sport this is that you can just say I was dying on the wall balls and doing sets of 10, and everybody was like, yeah, same. Me too. Like we've all been there, right? Like
you guys were staying a lot longer in North Park than we did. Like we were in there for the event and then we got straight out in the ice baths. But if you would stay, because it was like a vortex, there was no wind. Like you just stayed in there and cooked in the sun. And like if you guys must have felt the heat, but we were like in and out and then right in the ice baths, like in front of the fans. So
that's something I think the games did really well this year is like the events were earlier in the morning. We had the pig event, but just because the bike was also outdoors and so it was a little bit later. But in terms of like heat management, letting the athletes off the field after the 5K, and I asked, like, are we waiting for all the women? Like if you're doing this massive wave, are we waiting or can they walk off? And they let the athletes walk off and recover. So like, well, if athletes are better recovered, they're going to perform better. We're going to have a better test. So I think all of that, like there was a lot of things that were improved as well this year.
Well, thank you for making us feel better, Jeff, by the way, by giving us an out. This is a question I'm very curious. This is from Tony C. On the Buttery Bros video, Heber asked Jeff why his goal is to get top 10 at semis, but podium at the games. And you said, I'll tell you after the games. Can you explain now? I actually haven't gotten to that part yet, but I'm curious if you can give us some insight.
Reveal your secrets, Jeff.
It was actually a pretty rough season body-wise. And 10 days before semifinals, I injured one knee so bad that I had to take scans because I thought something was broken.
Oh my gosh.
I couldn't train much before semifinals.
Wow.
When they announced the jumps
and they announced the jumps, the pistols. I saw the pistols. I was like, oh my God, I'm not like, I thought I wasn't going to be able to jump on the box for the event too. So that's why, like, when they came to the gym, it was, I could do some stuff, but I couldn't do anything heavy. I couldn't squat. I couldn't lunge. I couldn't jump at all. I don't think I've done double unders this year at all. Yeah. Like, to be honest, I couldn't run for at least 8 weeks.
What did the scan say?
There's nothing.
Inflammation.
It's like just inflammation. But the problem is,
which is great, but like nothing's broken. It's just, you have a little inflammation. You're such a baby.
The problem is when I injured it was with a 335-pound clean and jerk. So if I was like, I just broke, like it cracked so bad, and I was like, oh my, what did I just do? And I had a lot of weight on my body, so I like when you have that amount of weight on you, it's like there's probably something that broke. Like, but I'm very lucky, nothing did. So semifinals was like, so I have to be over 12. That's it. And then hopefully like recover through the games. And honestly, during the summer, it was so much better. It wasn't perfect. I did not do any clean and jerks this summer. I was so scared. 0 clean and jerks.
Wow.
And that's why like the weightlifting event was so scary.
Stressful.
I was like, there's a chance that this clean and jerk busts my knee open and it's done. Like, I didn't know, but it was doing so much better during the summer. I could run, I could jump, I could do whatever I wanted. It's just the jerks was like a very, very scary thing, especially because like it's 360 pounds. Like it's not just a box jump with your own body weight. And that's why it was so scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the story of
Wow.
finals.
Yeah.
Yep.
As we had like 10 days to recover and try to get his leg to like work, and like
I couldn't drive.
You couldn't drive.
I couldn't drive
From
at all.
inflammation?
Yeah.
The pain, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, was there any like, because there's what, bursa sacs in your knee? There wasn't any
Yeah,
like.
So there might be a little bit of that. Like we would need to do more and different types of scans to like get more. We would just want to make sure like ACL, PCL, like everything, like all the ligaments were fine. You know, quad tendon, like nothing was showing up there. So there's probably like a little bit of everything else, but what it revealed the most was just like inflammation. But the degree of pain that he was experiencing and how it happened on that lift, and that's like his go-to thing. Like he's Mr. Clean, like we're good. So to get that also like robbed kind of from him, like now he didn't have a leg to stand on, like where are his strengths, like everything. And you know, we worked on his engine and we were working a lot on a lot of things, but it's still good to have an ace in your pocket. And now that was kind of like taken away. So it was just very stressful. And yeah, workouts were starting to come in from semis. It's like, okay, well, what can we do? What can't we do? Like, how are we gonna manage it? And so when he won, like that was
so surprised.
We were like, well, if we can do that, then, you know, the games, we should, you know, be able to do a top 5, maybe podium. Like,
let's just do that at the games too. Let's just do that too. You know?
Run it back.
Let's run it back for another win and win the pistol test too.
I won that workout. I think I won it because of the muscle ups, but yeah, it went pretty well. I was quite happy with that.
Well, yeah, 360 clean and jerk, and you know, a win.
Yes, and that's one of the reasons it was stressful. Like his knee, and two, like he hadn't lifted on in a while, and that's where like the format of the 20 seconds. Because if you can like, he can warm up really quickly. Like at semis, he opened very light and went like boom, 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 and got like 3 lifts in when people were at their first lift. But like you feel more comfortable and you're in control. So that was another thing that was like very scary and stressful. It's like, okay, well now he hasn't lifted heavy because like they went for the snatch first, which makes sense. But like, and now he has to go for like 340. And I was like, oh, dear God. And then when I saw that he was at 360, I was like, oh, dear God. I was just like, no. And then it held and it was good. So that was like, and so after that, it was like, okay, now we can win. Because the first 3 days, I was only waiting for the clean and jerk to see how his knee was going to hold up. And it was like, well, if you can clear that, then we're like, we're good.
In the clear.
Felt so good. So good, because I truly enjoy doing heavy clean and jerks. Like the clean and jerk is my stuff. Like this is what I do when I'm sad. Like I go do clean and jerks. I couldn't do that for months.
Oh
yeah, when I want to program something like a little candy, like I'll just make sure I put some heavy clean and jerk, and then he's good, and then we can do more running and burpees.
Oh,
Here's your little candy,
that.
and then let's keep going. So to not have that, like, yeah, it was very stressful. It was very stressful.
Man. Oh, that's great.
Impressive.
I love that. This next, we got a question from Julie Jones. What's the next goal for both of you? It's a good one.
I guess we're in the discussions of that. I'm definitely not retiring, but
good to know. Good to know.
Of that.
I mean, there's nothing else to do but to repeat.
All right, I like that.
It was funny because we talked to Fraser a little bit on Sunday, and he was like Jeff caught up a lot of the deficit points that he had against Roman on Saturday. And on Sunday when we saw Matt, he was like, you went through those points like really well. He was like, I thought somebody was going to get one of the, like, I don't know, his margin of win, right? Like Fraser had huge margins. So I'm like, maybe that's going to be the next goal. Like, let's go look at Fraser's numbers. And
I'm telling you right now, 2020 will never get beat.
Well, no, but 2020 had like 25 points. Like that's just impossible. He had like
500 or 600 points.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even possible.
That one's a little bit different for sure. We do have a question about 2020 coming up in just a sec, but we have a couple of questions regarding the games moving. This one is, so I'll couple them back to back. So where would you like the games to be hosted in the future, or any guesses where next? And then Ben asks, is there a region in North America you think would be more advantageous to you or the athletes more generally?
So I would love to go to Europe. I think Europeans are just sick of coming this way on this side of the planet. And, I mean, honestly, like if you think about it, they have to deal with acclimating to the time zone, and we don't. And it's a huge advantage, huge. Like they have to be here weeks in advance so that they feel good. So it would be just fair for us to live that going on the other side. And I mean, I would like to have some vacation in Europe. So I wouldn't say no to
take a vacation, win another title.
Go to Italy and drive a Ferrari. Like, why not?
Woo!
Like,
oh yeah, you're a car guy. I forgot. Yeah.
And
okay.
and what's the next question?
Is there a place to be more advantageous for athletes in general?
If it stays in the US, it is it is an advantage for me. We're right there. Canada's not too far, guys. Like we just take a plane and we're there. Like it's the same. So, and time zone, like we had a 1 hour time difference with Madison. We don't even feel that. So as long as the time difference is the same, I don't think there is an advantage. But I can say that in 2022, I had semifinals here in Montreal, and I could drive between workouts. I could drive home and rest and eat in my own sofa. And that was so fun. That was so good.
So precious.
I went to
do
a workout.
Eggs. It was
to put the games within driving distance to Jeff's house.
Oh,
so
man.
Let's say the games would be in Montreal. Oh boy, that would be so cool. So cool.
Man.
I think the only big advantage, like let's say Carson, Madison, like weather is an issue, it's something, and then elevation. So I think if we can cancel those out this year, I think we had the most event inside versus outside, because we only had one or like two on the first day. But in past games, when especially if you have more events, more of them were done outside, where you need to deal with heat and things like that. And we know certain athletes have a harder time. So I think if like moving forward, if you want to even out the playing field, have more events, even more events, or do everything inside.
Yeah. I mean, Stein says with 3 Canadians on the close to the podium, 2 on the podium, why not Canada? Hey, Canada would be fun for sure.
Don't forget.
Emma Lawson.
It's 3 on the podium.
Oh yeah,
3
Emma.
out of 6 podium athletes.
My apologies, Emma. My apologies. And in case you were wondering, for the point spread, Chase says 2020 doesn't count. So,
well, if 2020 doesn't count, that means my 5th place doesn't count, and I'm not ready to admit that. So.
Okay, well, you have improved on that.
Thanks. Good try.
Fair.
This is an interesting one from Bo Schmedley. Great name. What was the heart rate during the 5K?
170.
It was high. It was in the 70s. I didn't look at it that much. I just tried to keep, the most important thing was to try and keep my breathing rhythm in check. So if I was going to breathe too fast, then I was going to slow down. So I based it off of my breathing more than my heart rate.
We kind of circling back to a question that we had from 2020. Let me find it. It was actually from one of our patrons, so I can't pull it up, but I'll read it to you. It says, were there any big takeaways from the 5 athlete 2020 games that you felt really helped you on your path towards the top of the podium, specifically that they don't think they would have gotten in a normal large format games? This is from one of our patrons, Kurt. I thought it was an interesting question. Was there any pullaways from that really like intimate 5 athlete games that you feel like has helped you?
I'd have to dig in my memories, but I mean, I think I spent more time with Carrie Pierce in 2020 than any of the guys for some reason.
Well, in front of her.
She was right in front of me. Her warm-up area was right in front of me. I mean, it's something I'll remember forever, but I don't think there's takeaways. I mean, there's always takeaways in competition. So I'm happy that I was able to compete live in 2020 and use that to help me train for the next years, and also to gain like some experience, some live experience. But other than that, I don't think so. Like we just learned that Matt was just so much fitter than me. That's the biggest takeaway I have from that.
Do you think that the field thought that there was a chance that any of you could have taken him down that year?
No one.
No. No one thought they were going to.
That would have taken a lot of faith and a lot of balls to say that you thought you were going to
There's no way.
win from. and that's the thing with only 5. I think a 10-person game would have been a little bit more fair in the sense of like with like who's coming in between, right? Like even like as many points as Jeff gained on Saturday, on Sunday's event test 10, he still needed people to get between him and Roman. When you take those people out, then Jeff finishes first, Roman finishes second, and you're not making any points. So there's a little bit of that. Like you still need a full field for our methodology, for our sport. Like you need more people. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because it was. I mean, it was just kind of an off year in general. But I think I remember talking to you guys after where you were saying like you kind of narrowed the focus for like, hey, maybe we can just clip him in this one test, right? Like let's just not let him sweep us. Like let's get one here or get one there. Like I think Jeff, you got him in that heavy barbell cycling one, and then
I was like, Justin has a chance on the run. Like, Justin, come on, dude.
Yep.
Let's try it.
You're rallying together. This next question is from Carrie T, another one of our patrons. Couple of them. She said, seems like obviously the athlete area had a large media presence this year. How do you handle being on immediately before or after events? Would love to hear more about the development of your relationship with Vellner, including Vellner shooting the middle Roman. And did you pack your own bags after the games? And the last one, this makes more sense if you watch the Buttery Bros movie.
So let's answer the bag stuff. I was there.
You pretended like you did, though.
No, I'm not. Like, why would I? There's so much stuff. I'm like, no. And but I'm always there as moral support.
Yes.
So I'm there. I can move stuff around. And I kept like my belt and my medal on the bed, and I watched them till the last minute, and then everything got packed at the same time. So that's pretty much what happened.
I like it. And then about the relationship with Vellner, and just obviously as a fellow competitor, friend, fellow Canadian, and how that's developed, because it did seem like there was a little bit of Canadian collusion towards that last day.
Well, we tried. So we tried. I mean, we were like, at some point I asked Pat, I'm like, Pat, I'm going to need your help, like be between me and Roman. I think before that event 10. And then he was like, dude, you have to help me with Chandler, because I think Pat was 4th and Chandler was 3rd.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then we ended up not helping each other at all. Like we did the worst possible moves, and we didn't help anybody.
No, didn't Pat come in before Roman?
I don't think so. I think Roman beat him on the muscle ups, right? Or
no, I think it was
I don't know, maybe not.
Yona, Pat, and then Roman.
I don't remember, but
yeah, Roman got 4th on that.
It didn't work so well for us. And then at some point we're gonna have to, on the last event especially, we're like, okay, let's help Brent, and we just like get Brent. And like, wow. So we didn't help anyone here. But yeah, I'm super happy to have Pat in the back. Like I think we have that affinity because he speaks French. So every time I'm with Pat, I speak French, and it just makes it easier for me. Probably not for him, but it's just easier for me. And so we chat a lot. And I mean, Michelle Letendre, his coach, she speaks French as well. She's here from Montreal. Like we've known her for many years, and it's just like it's been a building relationship. Like we've battled for podiums a little bit in the past in some competitions, and now it seems like we're going to battle some podium spots at the game. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that starting from taking a fan pick to podium pick is like, it's pretty insane.
Oh man, it's the best. Like you guys really are a living embodiment of like that path from dreaming it up and working hard to achieving it and doing it the right way and doing it in a way that I think resonates with a lot of people. It's funny you mentioned Pat speaking French. I think a lot of people get caught off guard by that because he keeps it a little close to the vest. I remember it was Dubai, maybe 2021 when we were at that track, and you guys were all lined up, and or maybe it was 2020. I remember him walking by, and I was filming, and he kind of looked at me. He's like, "Hey, can you put that down, the camera?" And I was like, "Sure." And I put it down, and he started speaking French to you, and I was like, "What the? Where the hell did that come from?" And he winked
put this on camera, dude.
And he winked at me. He goes, "I keep a couple aces up my sleeves," and you guys were all like colluding in French. I think Willie was there too.
Oh yeah,
and you guys were all chatting. I'm like, "Oh, okay, I see how this goes." But
Does Brent speak French?
No.
Oh,
No, he doesn't.
Man.
he doesn't have the secret weapon.
Poor Brent.
Who knew the key to conquering a sport in America was speaking French?
Yeah.
Oh man, this is a great question. I know, Caroline, you've answered this before, but I think it's a valuable one, especially now because we had
Love this
two
one.
female coaches coaching athletes on the podium. Can you talk about why you think there's so few female coaches when it comes to elite CrossFit athletes, and what might lead to an increased number of women in that role beyond, obviously, podium finishes and winning?
I want to start on that.
Yeah.
So most of the time, the men are the problem. And let me explain. Competitive guys, I don't know, there's like a cockiness in us that makes it that we have a hard time putting all our trust into women. And I've seen that with her firsthand. It's the relationship between a female coach and a male athlete. That guy has to faire confiance. Has to trust that coach. And for some reason, guys have a hard time trusting a female coach. So if I can say anything, is that if you're a guy and you're young, I've been there, and you're trying to prove yourself, it doesn't matter. Just find the coach that will sound intelligent to you and will help you move forward. And that doesn't mean it's going to be a guy coach. If it's a woman, just do it. But there's something like weird of being told what to do by a woman, and just do it. Like, don't be a dick, and like,
Set the ego aside.
Yeah, set the ego aside, and just a good coach can be anybody.
Yeah.
For sure.
So just trust in that coach, whether it's a guy, a girl, an older man, older women, younger than you can be also an issue. Like, it doesn't mean that they're younger than you, that they don't know more. Like, that's not how it works.
For sure.
Or that they won't be willing to work just as hard as you to reach your goal.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I think like throughout my career as a coach, and like before coaching Jeff to any competitive level, like I coached in a box, and you're butting heads with people, and it's like, well, I'm trying to teach you a muscle up, and I don't have a muscle up, but like I went and got the knowledge. I'm taking experience from other people, like other people's cues, and I'm applying it to you and trying to help you. And it's like, well, if you don't want to listen to me because I don't have a muscle up, like then that's the type of validation that you need in order to build trust. And that's I think is the issue, is like, as an athlete, what do you need to build that trusting relationship that will make you listen to coaching advice and programming advice and all of that? And I think recognizing what it is that you're looking for. Like, do you need your coach to have the knowledge, have the experience? Like, your coach isn't going to get the experience unless somebody, like your first job, it's like, oh, we need like 3 to 5 years of experience. Like, yeah, but I just got out of school. Like, somebody needs to hire me in order to gain experience. So giving people a shot, and all these things, like it comes with time. I don't think that, and in terms of just the amount of opportunities, like there's only 40 men and 40 women competing at the games. So like, how many coaches are going to be there? It's very hard. And I think one of the reasons that I was able to do that with Jeff is because we were dating. Right? Because financially, how do you take on all of the time and effort that you need to put into this task to make someone the best or one of the best or making it to the games when you're not, like, nobody who would fund me? Right? Like, everybody's doing programming, like hard work pays off, proven, comp train, like all these things, because as an athlete, that's what's doable financially. But if you want me like to do that full time for you, then I need a full-time salary. Like, you're going to pay me like at least $2,000 a month to be able to program and coach you and like do all these things. So I think that that's a big part of the opportunity that I recognized when I saw that he had the potential and we could keep doing it, is because financially we were also tied. So his gains were becoming my gains, and, we're building a life together. So it makes sense. But I think it's very hard to be a coach at that level. Like, you're going to have to take a knock on your salary. You're going to need to invest time and energy and have no financial recognition for years, right? Like, I had to put all these years in before we even started to see success. So I think that as the sport grows and there's more opportunity for everybody to make a living, like the coaches in F1, like the fitness coaches that are doing the drivers, like they're getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, yeah, same in the NFL and same in the NBA.
Very different here.
Sport is at a different level, and obviously the money involved is at a different level, and everybody can have their fair share. I think CrossFit is just very small, and it's very hard to make a living as a coach. So asking people to do that, like you're just like all the volunteers at the games, like you have to volunteer your time and make sure that you put in the time and effort into it. But I don't think it's, I'm sure if people had the opportunity, male or female, to coach someone throughout the years, like it took us 7 years. Mm-hmm. Like, are you willing to put 7 years in?
So then what advice would you have if somebody's listening or watching, if they are somebody who has coached athletes but want to make it to the next level? Do you recommend kind of going out on their own the way that you did, or linking up with a training camp, or what is the way?
I don't think there is one. I think you have to see the opportunities, create opportunities for yourself. The sport is too young. I don't think there is a path to becoming, a CrossFit Games athletes coach. Like, I saw the potential in Jeff, and we took a risk as we went along. And I think that, if you're coaching at your box, like if you see athletes that, want to do that, I'll have a serious discussion, because I think that the main issue is time. You need to put in years. It's not just like, if you're trying to make it to the games, it's not trying to make it to semifinals or quarters. Like, you can take 2 years and make it to semifinals if you put enough volume in. That's not going to work for the games. You need to build over years and years. And so having that discussion of like, do you like, it's to me a coaching relationship. It's a relationship. A relationship isn't months, it's years.
Yeah.
Right. So like, both parties need to be willing to put the time in to make it through all of those steps.
Yeah. I was to say, because it seems like almost you have to, in some ways, maybe take a chance with that athlete early on, and
I took some before Jeff.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, some like 2014, 15, when I was coaching at other people's boxes. Like,
yeah,
I think people want to see their true potential realized, and whether that's through their career, through sports. So like, I think people that were involved in CrossFit that had done sports, like some people wanted to see like, how far can I take this? Like, how good can I be? And I was always willing to kind of like, well, let's try. Let's give it a month, 2 months, 3 months. Like, at least let's test it. Let's date a little bit. Like, let's test it out, do some programming. But things would fall through because life happens, right?
Yep.
Like something in your family, something, for you or whatever. So, but I was always kind of willing to try. And then you're going to fail, and it's not going to work out the first time. Like, Jeff wasn't the first person that I had, that had approached me, or that I had approached me like, oh, do you want to do this a little bit more? Can I program for you? Like, I went out also seeking opportunities, like offer your services to people. You'll just get better. Like, they might not make it, but you'll just get better as a coach and as a programmer.
And I think it's really great to see the trust and longevity of the relationship that you both have together, because so many times you see athletes trying out different camps, trying out different coaches, and you two kind of show there's proof in staying and sticking with somebody to finally see the goal that both of you had set through.
Yeah, I think
when a new coach takes on a new athlete, there's a 6 to 12 month learning curve. Mm-hmm. Right off the bat, you're in it for at least 6 to 12 months. And if you change every year, then you're always in the learning curve and you're never in the progressing curve. So like, if I have advice to give to someone, like, don't ditch your coach on the first time because it doesn't go your way on the first time. Like, you gotta wait it out. You gotta make sure you see that you're doing progress, like in your training, but it's not because one comp doesn't go well that you have to change coach. And make sure that relationship works with you, and that the coach works with the athlete. Like, it's a relationship. It has to work both ways. Sometimes it doesn't go well, but when it does, then, well, you can share it with that person.
And we all know the program hoppers. 1 minute they're on this one, and then the next minute they're on that. Then they're doing a Wendler cycle. Then they're doing a bat. So I think I think that's wise words. And I also think, you know, in many ways that message is, you know, you have to be open to trying and experimenting and being open to those opportunities, which is awesome. I got 2 more fun questions before we let you go, because we've had you almost an hour and a half. Danny, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you for hanging out. Have a great rest of your weekend. The Tony Tone says, what kind of car is Jeff buying this time around with his winning money?
That's such a great question. I am not going to buy a car this year. I'm going to stay. So I love mine a lot. I really do like it.
Are you a BMW guy?
Yes, I'm a car guy. So I'm with BMW, but I will not stay with BMW all my life. I'll switch it up. But right now, the one that I have my eyes on is an M4.
Oh yeah.
But
it's
not gonna happen because I like mine, and I'm just gonna. I just had it for a year, so I'll have it for at least another year.
Will you at least, like, you know, maybe make a couple of tunes to it, you know, maybe?
No, she doesn't want me to.
Keep it how it is.
No.
At least maybe like switch out the bulb lamps or something like that. Maybe throw a cool color in there.
Yeah, mine are already nice, so I don't have to change them.
Hey, that's fair. Being content, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. And this last one is from Instagram. Our friend Hans sent this. Which workout, Caroline, do you love to write that he hates to do?
Oh yeah, I saw that one. That's great.
Oh, you know these because I know these.
I don't.
What?
Uh-oh.
Because I don't care. He's gonna do them anyways. Whether you like them or not, or it's relevant to me.
Such confidence.
No. So it's not workouts. It's either time frames or pacing.
Oh.
She's like, okay, you do this at 105 RPMs on the Echo bike. Like, how? That's no magic.
That's not a pace.
I'm like, well, I can do it.
Well, you want to get fitter, so like, try.
And I'm like, I can do it for 5 seconds, and then I'll die, and the workout lasts for like 25 minutes. I'm like, how do you want me to?
It's like
do
impossible repeats of something.
So that's because
but I've asked more. So I used to do that a lot because I'm like Jackie Pro is like Bosman put that pace in. So like in workouts, I'd be like, okay, well, everybody's rowing at 145, but if I want to improve your rowing, you need to switch it up and you need to row faster. So I'd be like, you're going to row for like at 130, but for 5 minutes. And he's like, I can't, like, it doesn't compute. And I'm like, do it. So now I ask, I'm like, is it within this range for this amount of time? And I'll get a little bit more input. So like, he doesn't feel like I'm trying to crush his soul, but I used to do that more often.
Yeah. That's sneaky. My wife pulls those Jedi mind tricks to get me to do stuff, and she asks me first about it, and then I'll lead myself there, and she's like, "Oh, okay, great, yeah, that's well played." Well, honestly, Carolyn, Jeff, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you guys are
so fun.
Yeah, you guys are in some well-deserved downtime after the games, after what was a tremendous week. It's been great to see your guys' growth and development side by side with one another. It's been awesome to watch your guys' careers as well. I hope you guys take all the time you need to enjoy this win, because it is well deserved, and we appreciate you again. Obviously,
thank you for having us. Yep. Thank you for
extra syrup on the eggs.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I think everyone should go home and maybe reevaluate their breakfast choices after this win this weekend. Guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank again, and we'll hopefully catch up with you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for watching the stream, and appreciate you as always. We'll be back next week with more stuff.